Gamers and gamettes, what is going on? My name is Tanek127 and welcome back to another H1Z1 PS4 video. And today I want to just give you guys a short little beginner's guide for H1Z1. And a few disclaimers I want to throw in this video before we get started is, number one, I am by no means a professional H1Z1 player. My first experience with H1Z1 is actually this console version. However, I have played a lot of PUBG, Fortnite, a decent amount of Battle Royale games, so I do understand the overall gist and concept of Battle Royale. I do have experience with the genre, but these are just some things, you know, I learned myself, and I think they're really valuable tips for a new player. Another thing is, this guide specifically going to be for the PlayStation 4 version, because I know H1Z1 on PC is relatively the same game, but I know the PC version's played a little bit differently. Like, there's a crafting aspect and all kinds of other stuff in there. So I don't want to, you know, like, say that this footage is, you know, for PC players when our version is just a tad bit different. And final disclaimer, last but not least, this is more so from the perspective of a tactical style player. You know, someone that likes, you know, play at a bit of a slower pace, more relaxed, campy type style. So if you're looking for something that's just, you know, like kind of run and gun, get a billion kills throughout a match, this guide may not be for you. But anyway, guys, let's go ahead and get in the video. What I've done here is I've just jotted down a few tips and tricks that I personally do when playing H1Z1 that I wanted to share with you guys. And the first things first, the biggest rule of thumb when it comes to any Battle Royale game is always armor up. In this game, and in this case, the specifics you're going to want to make sure is always make sure your first objective when you spawn in, the second you land from that parachute, your first goal is to get your hands on a helmet, a chest piece, and a backpack. Straight up, because the helmet's going to protect your head, chest piece is going to protect your chest, and the backpack is going to let you carry more bandages, med kits, ammunition, guns, and stuff like that. Get those three things first. That's always your main objective. Your main objective, getting those things first. The next tip I want to give everybody is always close doors behind you. A reason you want to close doors, for number one, is, and I hate it, I always jump on my teammates and friends that I play with all the time, telling them to close doors. And trust me, anyone that knows me, you can ask them. I jump on everyone's cases about closing doors all the time. Number one, if you're in a building, camping out, looting it, and stuff like that, if the door is reopened and you're playing with like a headset or even, you know, where you have a good sound environment, you can hear when someone comes back into the room. And another thing is, you never want to leave traces for someone to follow you. The thing about Battle Royale is, people are always going to stalk other players. Like, you're being hunted by everyone around you. So you want to leave the least amount of traces as possible. Like, say you go and loot a house, and as long as you leave the door shut, and even if you know there's some loot in there that you don't need, some players can't even tell that that house has been looted just because, you know, the door is closed and stuff like that. Another tip I want to give you guys is always use stealth to your advantage. Play stealthily. Now, I know a lot of people like to play aggressive, a lot of people like to rush and stuff like that. That's fine and dandy, but you're in a huge open field. Now, you can't be too slow because, you know, you do have the poisonous gas chasing you throughout the game, obviously, and, you know, and all that stuff. But one thing about this game is you always want to have a bit of stealth on your side. You always want to take pace because you don't want to ever get yourself overwhelmed. And especially in team-based gameplay, when you're playing duos and fives, that's real easy to do. If you run off, you know, without your squad, you're a bit more, you know, out there jumping around, leaping out in the open and stuff like that, and another squad spots you and you're by yourself, you're kind of going to wish, you know, you took a more silent and stealthy approach to things. The next tip I want to give you guys is always make sure you find a vehicle. Main reason, especially on PS4, this barrier with the gas, it moves extremely fast in this game. It's very difficult to outrun. Now, gas is nowhere near as deadly as the shield in PUBG or the storm in Fortnite, but it does get deadly towards the end of the match, but it's very, very hard to outrun, and this map is freaking huge on H1Z1. Like, this thing's almost like on on a PUBG level. I can definitely see why they try and cut some of it off every single match, because this map is freaking huge. So you always want to, try and get your hands on a vehicle. I would say the vehicle is almost just as important as the helmet, chest, and backpack, because towards the end of the game especially, you are going to need that thing to get yourself there in the center. Another thing you always want to do in this game is you want to use the environment. You want to use the environment to your advantage, and you never want to assume just because you're unarmed, you're not lethal. I'm going to give you guys an example of a clip right here. There's a guy chasing me with a police car. I'm not armed with anything at all. He messes around with me a bit, honks his horn, he's trying to troll me and stuff like that. And keep in mind, guys, this is a solo match, so no, this guy isn't trying to signal for me to get in the car or anything. He's trying to taunt me and kill me. As soon as he steps out of his car, I say, hey, screw it. I grab his car and I take off, as you guys can see here in the clip. But just because you're unarmed doesn't mean you're powerless in this game. There's plenty of things you can do and plenty of other things that you can take advantage of, even when you're when you don't have a gun. You can run through houses, use all kinds of different cover, and disorient your enemy and stuff like that. There's all kinds of things you can do to confuse, throw the enemy off and stuff like that, and get away. And like I said, worst case scenario, steal their vehicle. There have been times where I've stolen a car and killed the person with it. There's all kinds of things you can do. Just because you don't have a gun in the beginning of the game does not make you hopeless. Another good tip that I really want to give everybody is always carry a crossbow. Now, when I first played H1Z1, I assumed the crossbow was useless. I just assumed it was like the crossbow in PUBG. Didn't pay any mind to it. Well, if you use a crossbow, you're going to notice that it has explosive bolts. There are vehicles in this game. Hint, hint. There's your answer for dealing with vehicles. One thing I always do, especially when I'm in the top 10, and you guys know that there's people that run around just circling in cars, trying to run each other over, bring a crossbow with you. Have some grenades, have some Molotovs. You'll definitely even the odds dealing with all those vehicles. Another thing you always want to do is use the element of surprise to your advantage. Now, I don't mean, run and gun and be crazy. But in this game, a lot of people are used to, a more slower tactical pace of play. And even in PUBG, Fortnite's more of, a rushy, kind of pushy type of game. But in games like this in PUBG, they're used to, that slower pace, long, drawn-out firefight kind of thing. Don't ever be scared to push and rush somebody, because the scariest thing in any shooter, and I mean this in any shooter, is being pushed and not realizing it. Like, you'll think you have somebody, just pinned down good and stuff like that, and the next thing you know, they'll turn on their freaking Goku Ultra Instinct mode and they'll just start hunting you like an animal. And believe it or not, guys, that can throw off some of the most skilled players. They'll be like, oh crap, I really wasn't expecting, that dude to freaking charge in first from behind his tree and just blast me with a shotgun. You will get some crazy kills using the element of surprise to your advantage. So anytime you think, you can get an edge on somebody in a firefight, take a risk every here and there. And, try it out. Best case scenario, you get the kill and you move on. Worst case scenario, you die, go ahead and jump into another game. That's how I look at it. Another really good tip is whenever you're going for supply drops, the ones that drop from the air, always assume somebody's watching you. Because I'm going to tell you, 50% of the time, someone's watching you. The easiest way to troll people in this game is to watch a supply drop, sit back and relax with a crossbow or a sniper rifle. I'm not going to lie, I'm guilty of it. I do it to other players all the time. And it's the easiest way to get cheap kills. Some people will just let supply drops sit there so they can just bait as many players to it as they can. Anytime you go and get a supply drop, I don't care if you got a whole squad deep of people with you. There should always be a couple people in that squad covering everybody while everyone just, grabs that loot and all kinds of stuff. Because you never know what goes down at these supply drops. When it comes to supply drops, there will be all-out war. As you guys can see right here on the screen right now, there's some war going on at this supply drop. Right now. Another good tip, this is probably the 9th tip I'm going to give you guys. Anytime you get into a gunfight, make sure you leave that location after the fight's over. one thing you always want to do is, even if you're using a silenced weapon, always assume that your shots are being heard. Because if someone can hear your shots, and especially if they're using a headset, they know around roughly what range you are, and they're going to come after you. Especially if they sense that, you know, you just killed somebody, you took a little damage or stuff like that. One of the easiest things to do in these kind of games is take advantage of a player that's already down, out, and weak. And last but not least, the final tip I want to give for you guys, this is mainly going to go for duo and squad play. Always communicate with your team. There have been so many times I've jumped into, you know, 5 solo and stuff like that. Nobody's using a mic, anything. You have a compass. You have all these different resources to use, and nobody communicates. That's probably got to be the silliest thing I ever heard. Call outs, you got numbers, you got coordinates, you got everything here to make it easy for you. Take advantage of it, guys. Trust me. But anyway, guys, this is going to go ahead and wrap it up for my H1Z1 Beginner's Guide. I really hope this guide helped you out. If it did, be sure to smash that thumbs up button for me. And I want to thank you all so much for watching. It's your boy, Tnek127. And please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Till next time, peace out. Take care.